So my name is Bozena Rezab, or Bozena Rezabova, if you are able to pronounce that in Czech. I'm Czech. My company is based out of Prague. And my background is 15 years as a tech entrepreneur. And the past 3 years, 3.5 actually, I've been into building a gaming company. And I wanted to share a little bit from behind, as a tech entrepreneur and founder, what we've seen as patterns and maybe some observations happening on the platform that we're building. And to start off, maybe I should also mention that I used to work for Google on YouTube launches, monetization across European markets. And I was really fascinated about the fact how YouTube enabled small videos to be shareable, embeddable across all of the internet. And that how YouTube made people connect across series of videos. And as a passionate gamer of casual style games, I saw there was nothing like that for casual style games. And together with my co-founders, we thought this is a segment that is very underserved, let's say. There is nothing that connects gamers across casual style games, and it was not really a way how to make them embeddable and playable. This is the vision with which we started Gamee. And we started about 3.5 years ago, and we built a social network that first connects people and then enables games to stream in that social network. And we started as native apps that are called Gamee on Android and iOS. And the Android one is still live. And the iOS one was removed from App Store about a year ago, which was one of the early signals how Apple actually started to be more careful about HTML5 being distributed through the app stores. So we, as entrepreneurs and founders, we could take it either, as a disaster or as a compliment. So we decided to take it as a compliment, and we moved on working on the Android app and building a progressive web app that is mobile first, that has the same philosophy of connecting people first, and then streaming games. And we're just before the full launch of the progressive web app. The 3 billion gameplays, actually more than half of that happened after our iOS app was removed from App Store, which only proves that it was a good decision to keep going with the web app that is independent. So just some of the principles before I moved on to the learnings and some of the insights I wanted to share with you. So the socials first, connecting friends. It's instant play, obviously, it's HTML5, you click and play. We put a lot of emphasis on shareability, and I will tell you a little bit more around that. We have 25 minutes per user per day, and the 3 billion gameplays are over time, over 70 games. We do not have a major hit game on the platform yet. So all of the observations I can share are on casual style games that we have created or co-created with other partners and launched on the platform. So moving on, actually that might be the old presentation, but never mind. I updated one this morning, but let's improvise. Yeah, so the first learning is that we put a lot of stress on social design because we see that it does improve engagement metrics. And now I'm not really speaking about social games in the core. They're not multiplayer. They do not really connect, they do not enable social play within. When I say social, what I mean is that we enable friends to connect to each other and then play hyper-casual games, really simple one, against each other, which enables tournaments, which builds influencers, and I'd like to tell you a bit more about that. And it pushes engagement up. How up? Well, I'd like to share some data with you, but what you see on the screen is the first screen is a tournament, the second you see versus. So we see people playing against each other, one game after another. So how does the social design push a simple hyper-casual game? Well, you see these are some of the numbers that we wanted to share, and that actually shows an impact of social density. So I have two markets. I have average on the platform, and I have test market when we went deeper with the social connections. So on the test market, actually, there are connections, 21 automatically found for every user that joins Gamee. And it goes up to 25 people that I follow. And having this upside of connections actually pushed the day 1 and day 7 retention a lot. It also pushed the numbers. It also pushed the number of games people play. So that only proves the point that once you have more connections and friends to play with, it pushes the whole metrics up. So this is just a proof that the social design can actually push metrics of every single game up. A second point I wanted to tell you a bit more about is enabling shareability. I spoke a little bit about YouTube and how it made videos embeddable and shareable, and we actually do the same with Gamee. So you can take any single hyper-casual game and you can share it to a friend, not only within Gamee but also outside. And one thing to make a game shareable is just within the flow to enable that. So you detect which type of apps the person uses or has on their phone, and you just offer those to share it with. That's just very basic product feature. The second thing is working with algorithms. So a person or a gamer would not share every single time, right? There are moments which are best for sharing. So another important step in making that work was figuring out algorithms which offer the sharing at the right moment. And that's like a work in progress. That's like never-ending optimization around the platform. What is the best moment when people share? And it's different by every single game. The third point is when you give a reason to share, the volume of shares of course goes way up. And a reason to share is first, well, you have beaten your friend's high score is a very basic one, and you can go beyond, right? You can share data or something that your friend can use in the game as well. So seeing the very first signals, like having the product figured out, what is the right moment when the person wants to share and how they want to share is the basic. With that, we see organic shares grow 10-15% every month. We do not have fully launched the reasons to share. So you can simply share a game or a high score. We are now looking into how can you share a level, how can you share data from the game so it can be accessed and used. I spoke a little bit about influencers, and I'm sure most of you, if you're working with user acquisition or social media, you must be also looking into it. So what we saw as really interesting, we also had some influencers that are popular on different social media, Instagram or YouTube, streaming or playing with Gamee. And what we saw the difference was that when the influencer is really big and popular on YouTube or Instagram, they definitely have the power to bring new users. But there is a large volume of small, let's say, micro-influencers. They might not be that popular on YouTube or Instagram, but they are becoming big on our own platform. And because we have gamer profiles, and the gamer profiles, they can, level up and progress, they get better, they get more visibility on the platform, they become influencers themselves. And they do not have a huge impact on YouTube, so they cannot bring really large volume of users, but what they do is they have superpowers of engaging the audience we have. So on the chart is one that's not that easy to read. So you see the activity of the influencer, the impact of the activity of influencer on time spent of their followers. So you see when they created Battle, which is like a time-limited tournament, the overall time spent of their followers went up immediately. And creating Battle for such a person is just one click. So my point here is, the second chart is in-time growth of followers of such, let's say, micro-influencer we have on the platform. So the point here is, we have seen a strong push in marketing and social media looking after external influencers that could bring users to your game. And I think that's absolutely worth it and it's working. However, do not forget about the influencers you already have in your game, because they might not have the capability to bring large volume of new users, but they definitely influence how other people play the game if you have any social features within the game. The screenshot with the Gaming Masters League, this is an initiative that that happened bottom up. Basically, group of our core gamers, they set up Masters League and they started something that resembles esports over casual style games by themselves. So it's totally bottom up, and being able to spot people like that or groups like that and giving them more tools to become more powerful and influential on your own game or platform. That's something that we think is really important. 4. Well, one more question we had was, is it possible to create core gaming behavior across hyper-casual games? And of course, we all know that hyper-casual games, they have quite a short shelf life, right? And that's how we thought about some gamification meta layer to introduce across the games, and that's what we have on Gamee. And I honestly think that the gamification meta layer, by level up, collect points or coins that you can use them, it works in every single industry. If you introduce a meta layer that gamifies, it does work. And we saw, well, there is a core gamer community that they play everything we launch, and they care about progress across the games. So that's just like one observation, that having launched the same game outside of this environment and within this environment, we could almost double the metrics, the engagement metrics, to have that launched within the gamification meta layer. Does that make sense? Yeah? I was recently trying to explain something like that to a non-gamer background person, and they gave me completely empty look. Like, you don't seem to be puzzled, but that's good. So the last point was figuring out some type of a cookbook for games. And honestly, me and my co-founders, we're all tech founders. We have built B2C companies, but we did not have gaming background, right? So we had to hire gaming experts that had 20 years plus experience building hyper-casual games. And we said, we told them, it was about middle of the chart. And we told them, this is what we have. I don't know how to push that forward. Can you help? And they look at all the data signals on the billions of gameplays, what you guys have, and trying to figure out what are the patterns, what do we have on the platform, and what do we need to change in those games to actually move forward. And some of the findings are not that surprising, right? So we saw 3 buckets of games. Some got shared well, some retained well, and some were really popular in battles, in tournaments. And we also learned that it's very hard to have everything at the same time. So we started looking at games more as a portfolio, and invested much more into algorithms of recommending the right games at the right time. Do we need a person to share, or would we like this to retain this person? However, there are some patterns that we see across all of the games, and the most successful ones that got shared, retained, and were favorite in battles had clear gameplay, surprise, but also short initial gameplay, which sent some of the puzzles that we believed in very much down, because they simply did not have short initial gameplay. Of course, feeling of challenge and progress, because the platform is built as a competition, the tournaments, the versus, and everything challenging friend. And of course, quick learning curve. My point here was more to you as an observation, is that on one hand side, you're building games. On the other hand side, you're placing them within an environment. Either you're launching them on App Store, or you're launching them on Facebook or wherever, but it does determine the success. As I'm able to say that from the position of both managing the platform and launching games on the platform, that I see that we can directly influence the success of different games by changing the algorithms or changing the context. At the same time, when I manage to get the games team understand really how the platform behaves, they make games that are more successful. So yes, the context and the platform where you launch your games does matter a lot. I probably recommend having good relationship with the platform you're working with, and understanding how the platform works, and giving a lot of feedback, what you need to the platform, is essential to the success, I think. Yeah. So there was few things I wanted to share with you. It might not be enough depth. If you want to discuss a bit more, find me here. I'm here, or just send me a message on LinkedIn. I don't have any business cards, but you find me on LinkedIn as Bozena Rezab or Bozena Rezabova, if you still remember my Czech name. Thank you very much.
Well, hold on, don't go anywhere. There might be questions out here for you.
Oh, really? Okay.
Any questions? Or there might not be. Okay, congratulations on all those views on 70 games. That's great. And thank you for sharing that.
Thanks.